Hello and welcome to the DrivingMaul show. Hi, I'm Paul. I'll be your host this evening, coming to you at 8 p.m. every Monday. Well, the Mondays when we can actually get out of bed and make it on to the screen at least, or we're not too busy with all our different jobs. Joining me this evening is Cornflake. How you doing, sir?
I'm good. I'm glad that we are, getting ourselves out of bed to be on an 8 p.m. show. We don't record this at 8 a.m. No, it's 8 p.m. So, Paul's had his wee nap. He's ready to go. He's fired up. He's ready to talk about, we don't have Stephen Harris to tell us how many days till Super Rugby starts. So that's what I'm most disappointed about.
Oh, well, yeah. Sorry.
I like the countdown.
Undisclosed disciplinary team bridge means that Mr. Harris has been shunted back out of the starting 15 or the starting 3 for today's show. We'll see whether he has redeemed himself in the week during training, and whether he's impressed the coaches enough to get back into the squad or not. I mean, fitness had nothing to do with it apparently. Not that any All Blacks got dropped due to fitness on the quiet during the November tour. Allegedly, maybe, you never know. Has got someone who's joining us on YouTube. You can join us on YouTube and chat with us. Obviously, you can also join us on Facebook, and you can listen to the podcast as well. And someone brings us to the historic preseason clash between Super Rugby and Major League Rugby. The Fijian and Drua are taking on the LA Rugby franchise. What a catchy name that is, LA Rugby franchise. Loving it.
He's stealing my news items already. Jeez. Simon, we've just started. Don't steal my news items. I actually did some research. I had 2. You've taken 1 away. Oh no, the blasphemy!
Oh dear, here he is, late off the team bus. They missed the team bus and had to grab a taxi. Some of us thought that maybe he'd get drops in the same way that Aaron Cruden did when he missed the flight, but no. Stephen Harris has joined us. How you doing, sir?
Hey, unlike Cruden, I've actually made this flight. He actually missed that flight, but no, listen, great to be here, guys. I am a tad late, but hey, all set and ready to get into it.
Yes, I'm wondering, is it enough years yet that we can actually say what the rumours were as to what he was actually up to for that? Because look, I mean, All Blacks had this thing, no man left behind kind of thing, and all that kind of stuff. I mean, could he really have been left in his hotel bedroom? I mean, did none of his mates go knock on the door and wake him up? Where was he really? Who knows? Just leave that allegedly out there for people. I'm pretty sure that we won't get anyone listening to us who will drag us into the courts for that one. I don't think. Hopefully, cross fingers. Anyway, I'm going to kick us off again with my Christmas present, the New Zealand Rugby book, independent and unofficial, by Jamie Wall, and read out a quote from this one. Kings of Rugby. The papers were full of Sunday's match and unanimous extol of the All Blacks' magnificent game. The gate money is estimated at £500,000, beating all records. That was back in 1925. So there you go, folks. Money. It's all about money. And even in the amateur game 100 years ago, it was all about money as well. The more things change, the more they stay the same, folks. If you think that money corrupting the game has only happened since professionalism, oh, you are so wrong. So wrong in that one. But Cornflake, as you have done some prep this week, why don't you tell us first off about this historic clash between the Fijian and Drua and somebody else that we don't know about yet?
How have you not heard of the Metropolis? I mean, let's be honest. The LA Rugby players probably are quite happy to be leaving Los Angeles in a soon state. Anyway, the way that city is at the moment. But look, yeah, I read this this morning or yesterday. I think this is quite interesting, but I think this shows good development and good foresight from whoever thought of this idea of the Drua having this preseason game against LA RFC as a proper rugby football club. I presume that stands for. Because this is exposure. I think the MLR is doing a good job of getting exposure to their players and getting them out there. And it's becoming quite a nice development path, I think, almost in the MLR for players that aren't getting the shots that they're liking. So, yeah, I'm quite liking this idea. It's good. It's forward thinking. It's good for the Drua. It's good for the LA team. And it's something a little bit different. So I think good exposure for those LA boys. And hopefully this might be something we see more of if they're going to make the big trip down here to the Southern Hemisphere.
And look, with the Major League Rugby being in the same window as Super Rugby and being in the same window as the whatever the Japanese league is called nowadays, it keeps changing its name. The top league, is it called? That's what it used to be called anyway. With all those three leagues in the same window, then look, preseason games between those teams makes a lot of sense rather than a preseason game against someone you're going to play during the season. So yes, I think it's Japanese League One. There we go. So I think those two. I think it is a good idea. Simon says he thinks that Major League Rugby will overcome the Japanese League One, but not right now. Oh, Mr. Harris, do you agree with that one, or do you think? Japanese League One is clearly ahead of Major League Rugby at the moment. We'll look at the number of international players that go there. But what do you think, Stephen? Do you reckon we'll see a changing of power across the Pacific?
I was going to come up with a little bit of a pun tonight, but I don't know if it's too soon. A game between the Drua and Los Angeles. Well, that's got the capacity to really catch on fire, hasn't it, guys? Too soon.
Oh, nice.
Too soon.
Too soon?
Probably,
Oh, not soon enough. Is what I say.
No,
get in there.
No, probably too soon. In all honesty, what's going down on that western seaboard is absolutely tragic. And if I've offended anybody, I'll take that back. But I agree with Cornflake. Actually, really great opportunity. It's also a good opportunity to see where MLR actually sits as a product as well, because hi James, how are you? Because you hear so many reports about the level of that rugby. Like I've heard everything from maybe sort of like heartland level to back end of NPC. So that'll be a really good test for a team like coming out of the MLR, just to see how they go.
Yeah, look. You think about the quality of if you look at where do players go. If you look at someone, Sean Stevenson, where's he off? He's off to Japan. Your Super Rugby players tend to go on to Japan, don't they? Whereas your NPC players who can't get a Super Rugby contract will quite often go over to Major League Rugby, and that probably gives you an idea as to the level of the two leagues currently. But that could obviously change.
I feel like the MLR is a very different sort of league. Like Japan tries to pull those older, top tier guys to bring that marquee sort of look about their teams. To me, MLR is very much in its own backyard. It's everyone and all. But when it pulls in from overseas, it's pulling in younger, high potential sort of players. You notice a lot of guys now who are starting to break into Super Rugby who are in their low to mid-20s have been, they've spent a season or two over in MLR already. So that's something that I find they're developing really well. But just out of interest on when you talk about the squad and the players, this LA team has names like you may recognize: Tim Anstey, Super Rugby experienced player. There's one, it's not a very common name, of Christian Lealiafano, who was in there. Semi Kunatani, another one some may know. Billy Meeks is another pretty well-known player in that side. And Rory Van Voort, who played for Southland for the last few years in the NPC level, was over there as well. So, it's not star-studded, it's not superstar, but, some handy players over there.
Yep. You say some I'm just trying to think. Is Matt Anonu still playing for them? I mean, it seems like
he's in San Diego.
Oh, right. Okay. Sorry. Wrong one. But
it's far away.
It's California, isn't it?
Still California. Matt Ghetto. Yep.
Yeah, but there's also some players up there who are, probably a little unlucky not to have picked up super contract. I know Sam Kidd has picked up a contract there. Of course, Sam Kidd's been also part of the Highlanders and the Waratahs as well. And even a couple of weekends ago, down at my local gym, I ran into William Talataina Mu, who also played for Southland back in 2017, 2018, Ponsonby midfielder. He's back here looking for a gig at the moment. I think he was with Enola Gold or something like that. They call them
New Orleans.
Yep.
Yeah. So stint over here, and I was having a bit of a chat to him about the rugby, and he said, "Listen, there's a lot of guys over there that go over there for the lifestyle. For sure, it's certainly a completely different country, being a rugby country, but he said there's also some really, really good experienced guys running around in that competition. Every now and again, you do get some very, very good games.
And they're well supported too. Like if you actually watch the games, they get decent crowd. Like they make New Zealand look, pretty bang average when this is our sport, and we get average crowds. And this is like what 10th or 15th down on their ladder of popular sports, and they still get exactly. That's what I mean. And you still look at it and go, it's not packed, but it's still a good little crowd. And you're talking about names. Michael Manson, the man we've talked up over the last couple of weeks about spent a couple of years in MLR as well. And one man at this LA team I forgot to mention, who was a fully stacked international, was Gonzalo Berchino, the Argentinian scrum half. So he plays at a very, very high level. One of the best nines probably jogging around, especially in Argentina. So yeah, there's definitely some talent over there. I think I don't disagree with Simon. I think sleep on this MLR or this American rugby sort of institution if you dare.
Look, I think it's a few players perhaps went a bit early in the first couple of years, thinking, what, if I get over here, I can be there when it is big. It's like, no, look, look at how long Major League Soccer took to eventually get up properly running. It is a 20-odd year project. It is not a kind of a 2-year project, and suddenly, hey, I'm going to be at one of these big old teams. So yeah, it is a long-term project. But look, they were during COVID, they honoured all their contracts. There are a lot of leagues around the world were not honouring, were telling players to take pay cuts. They didn't, to be fair to them. So that's it is good. Now anyway, so your second news item. You got two of them. So in case on my list and I steal it. What's your other one?
Well, this one is a bit of a joke take on what we talked about last week when we looked at the Australian teams. A player that we kind of went, surely he's retired by now, right? And Curtly Beale has been picked up by the Western Force. So he's back. So maybe the last laugh is with Curtly laughing at us as a 36-year-old goes for another shot at Super Rugby, which, hey, the experience worked well last season, so why not?
Yeah, I was going to say, they looked much better when they had his experience to hold them together along with Tia. So yeah, now why not? As you say, give it one more go. But for the long-term future of the Force, they do need to look at young players, not constantly bringing in older players like this to save them, which they've done in like Thrush and a few others who have gone there towards the end of their careers. So Curtly Beale's back again. Still hasn't got his Range Rover contracts back again yet, though. I don't think. On that one,
I was going to say, Paul. It's interesting. Some of these Australian teams are actually still signing players. I see the Waratahs have signed Australian Sevens player Jamie Adamson as well. Now he's been part of a very good Shoot Shield team that actually won the championship in the New South Wales competition. So it just goes to show that these guys, probably still adding to their squad. I also saw one of the back rowers is heading offshore at the end of the Super Rugby. Actually, it's one of the loose forwards for the Waratahs. He just escapes my name at the moment. But changes happening all the time, and in those begging your pardon, 4 franchises in Australia.
You do want to hope that these guys have been training with the squad, because look, we're only the 14th of Feb is the opening games, so we're a month away from Super Rugby kicking off. So you would hope they've actually been training with the squads. Otherwise, it's a bit late to get you to know all the systems and all that kind of stuff. So hopefully they've been there and they've earned the contract through their training, rather than suddenly it's like, oh hell, we need another person on that one as well. I'm not sure. Right, says Ikitau under threat of signing a big Japan deal. Look, I think every single Super Rugby player is under threat of signing a big Japan deal. In all honesty, if you're anything decent. So yes.
I was going to say, Paul, that was Langy Gleeson. Yeah.
Yep.
He's actually signed a French deal. Interestingly, only 23 years old as well.
Yeah, there's that trend of younger players heading overseas. So on the news side of things, or looking at other squads, and the Crusaders still haven't announced who their captain is going to be for this season. It's apparently Scott Barrett is stepping down from it as he is the All Blacks captain, which is what Kieran Reid did in all honesty. So not a surprise really that's happened. I'd be very surprised if they go past Cody Taylor. To be honest with you, he's the natural next one off the rank, or do you guys see somebody else?
Not too much. No, experience is key. But I think it's a good move for Scott Barrett, though. I think take a little bit of pressure off and just focus on his game a little bit. He's got plenty more fish to fry at a higher level, doesn't he? So, do the bar nonu, cruise through Super Rugby, make an impact, get ready, and let someone else take some.
Yep. Simon Hughes says, I just think Super Rugby merger with Japan League One ? Look, I think that's what Super Rugby would love to have, but an access to that market. I'm not sure if Japan League One really wants the travel and the hassle of coming down here to come and play games and to let's be honest, lose quite a bit early on at least. So I'm not sure that will happen, but it might be something that's forced to happen. If what we read in the Raw is to be the Raw Rugby website that's over in Australia. So apparently Rugby Australia is on track to extend their deal with Nine Entertainment and Stan Sport with an uptick in the money as well. Currently, the deal is worth 30 million Aussie dollars a year. But this would cover the from 2026 to 2030, which if you're selling the rights or TV rights to Super Rugby, that suggests Super Rugby is going to continue in some sort of form anyway, at least, because on that one. So it does look like that is so that's looking like good news for Australia. On the flip side, though, over here in New Zealand. Sky has reportedly said, which currently pays 80 million New Zealand dollars or 72 million Australian, has apparently reported that they want to drop down how much they want to pay, coming down to 50 million New Zealand dollars a year. Now, some of you might be scratching your head thinking, hang on a second, wasn't Sky last year in New Zealand Rugby sort of broadcasting and shouting about how wonderful the crowds and the audiences were, and it was all bigger, which just goes to show you that actually it's not about how many people that watch it as to how much money that they pay. It's about what competition there is. Because last time Sky applied for this, we had this amazing thing called Spark Sport around, and Sky was suddenly like, oh my God, they took World Rugby. Let's throw all the cash we can at New Zealand Rugby and 10% of us, or whatever it was, percentage shareholding to try and hold on to these rights. Otherwise, we're dead. Now that Spark Sport has disappeared, suddenly Sky's thinking, you know what? TVNZ, owned by the government, isn't about to pay this much money for this. There are only, unless you can think of someone else who actually broadcasts sport in this country, that's the only competition. So unless New Zealand Rugby was really adventurous, and you say, you know what? Let's put it on All Blacks Plus or NZ Rugby Plus, whatever it's called, their streaming service, because we've got so many people who have signed up. That'll save the day. So yes, that one. Look, it's a bit of a disaster, isn't it, for New Zealand Rugby? Cornflake?
It does it surprise you though? Like, competition is the greatest thing, isn't it? And Sky, like Simon's saying, the price of Sky has gone up astronomically too for the consumer like us that want to watch it. It's almost becoming too expensive in this kind of world we live in, as they would say, those youngins. But the price of everything has gone up hugely. I remember paying $40 a month for Sky Sport, the streaming service, a couple of years ago. And to find now it's almost half that again, 50% higher. Just for me, it's like I couldn't justify that sort of expense. So, look, if they're going to put less money in it, they're charging people more money to watch it. The question mark for me is just like, how can they maintain this sort of model on their business? How can they keep this work going? It's just not going to work out. But if there's no competition, do Sky just keep doing what Sky want to do? And if you don't want to pay it, too bad. Where does their money come from? Because subscribers surely are going down.
Stephen, the a man who's been in the commentary game a little bit, more on the radio side. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, it's interesting enough. They shouted out there was an 11% lift in terms of your figureship from 2023. There's something like 1.67 million New Zealanders pretty much watch the competition overall. So, 1 minute you're shouting that from the rooftops, and the next minute you're deciding to come in and lowball New Zealand rugby. I just think they might be missing a little bit of an opportunity here, as we've previously discussed on the two previous shows. I think this year's competition could be one of the better ones, especially with Australia having the 4 teams. And I think there's a really even mix amongst all 11 teams. And I just think they should just wait and see. But obviously it's going to take some convincing from New Zealand rugby to change their mind. All the talk about probably the NPC being railroaded probably hasn't helped as well, and probably just the cost, Sky are probably factoring in if that competition's cut, or at least broadcasting's cut, that's probably another revenue stream for them that's going to be cut as well. So take all those into account. But I don't know. I just think they might be missing. I think Sky might be missing an opportunity at the minute.
No, I think Sky see the opportunity to get it cheap. And come on, Silver Lake, you're supposed to be our negotiators here. Come and save the day. These revenue streams have just gone shooting up since you've come in and been part of it, hasn't it? That's have we got a CEO at the moment who's running New Zealand rugby commercial? Because he's the guy who should be making these discussions. Oh, he's just left, hasn't he? That's right. You didn't like his ideas, New Zealand rugby. You thought, we get rid of him. So so who the hell's doing the negotiations now? Anyway, so look, it's I think we saw this all coming. At the end of the day, that once Sky saw off the Spark Sport, a bit like in the UK, where again Sky saw off or Sky and then BT Sport, that when they were competing with each other, suddenly the price went up. But now but now it's come back down again, as they're not competing with each other anymore over rugby, over sports rights in a big way. You just had to look at the UK to know what was going to happen here, and it's just following the same path. So yes, New Zealand rugby. Oh, look, sports need to understand that TV rights are no longer pay the payday. You have to find another way of getting money in. How about filling those stadiums? That'll help. And merchandise. How, again, look at the Warriors. How many people in Auckland and even around the country you do see Warriors jerseys out and about? How many Super Rugby jerseys do you see out and about? Very few in comparison. So look, those are the untapped revenue streams that New Zealand Rugby and the Super Rugby franchises really need to look at, and they need to reduce their reliance on the TV broadcasters, because that's just not going to work long term. Any other news from you guys?
I was going to say you live in the wrong part of the world. You don't see many Warriors jerseys down here, that's for sure. You see next to none. But to be fair, you don't see many Super Rugby jerseys either, which is kind of sad. Look, the Highlanders jerseys for sure are the most popular things you'll see down here in the opposite end of the country. The Warriors are too Auckland-based. They're too Auckland-based and I guess Pacific Island-based, which isn't really much of the population down here, which is probably the reason for it. But yeah, what I'm curious as to why Sky don't, kind of backing on what you both said there. Wasn't there, or is there, a free-to-air game every week? I'm pretty sure there's not. Why isn't there a Friday or Saturday night game? One game. I don't care who it is. The New Zealand, as long as one New Zealand team's playing, and just expose that so people can watch that game and go, crap, that was fun, and either go to a game or potentially subscribe to watch other games via the, Sky or whatever they want to do. And, give a taster, be that person in the supermarket that's handing out those cookies or whatever. Just be like, yum, that's good. I like it. I want more. Yeah, at the moment, it's just like, they'll watch the news or something or see highlights online of, 2 minutes long of 3 tries and be like, okay, cool. Hurricanes lost. Big deal. Move on. Give them a bit of a taste of a real match.
I think they were putting some on Prime, weren't they, at one point? So hopefully they'll do that
still
again.
doing it now?
I don't know if they're still doing it now. They're definitely not doing it now because the season's not working. There's no games to broadcast.
Well, this season upcoming.
Oh, okay. So they were putting it on Sky Open apparently, but it got delayed by 20 minutes due to ad breaks. God. Okay. Putting ad breaks in the middle of sport really works. Not.
And putting it on a platform that people have to actually go and fetch. It's too much of a stretch. People are lazy, right? You just want to be able to either click on a button on a computer or click a button on your TV and hey, you can watch it.
It's on.
But
it's,
hey, something.
Sky Channel 4 or Freeview Channel 15 apparently. So there you go. So it is actually a channel you can click on. The other one though is that the Blues are trying to pack the park for the opening game, and so they've given a discount for tickets. I just got an email through today, but I have to buy my tickets in 2 days. The game's in a month's time, but if I want to buy my tickets cheap, I've got to buy it now. So come on, you're not selling desks, right? You're not Briscoes. If you're going to drop the price up until game day. Don't just drop the price of 2 days now and expect everyone to be able to plan ahead a month to pack the park for your opening game. Look, reducing ticket prices, not a bad idea. Get more people through the gates, get them spending more on food, get them buying more merch. And then if once you've got a full stadium, then you can think about raising your prices as you've got demand. But yeah, it was just this like, you have 2 days to buy your tickets. Go. It's not Black Friday, folks. Okay. I was just no.
Didn't a lot of teams do that last year as well? I do remember the Highlanders doing something similar, saying, purchase this weekend games for round 7 and 8, and it was round 2 or 3. It's a similar sort of thing about a month in advance. This weekend only get 20% off your tickets. I do vaguely remember that last season as well. I don't know how successful that was, but it must work.
Well, who knows if it works or not, or maybe it's just the person who's come out with his marketing degree. Because let's be honest, if you're a major marketer and getting paid lots of money to sell things, you're going to be doing it for the warehouse or something. You're not going to be doing it for or you're not going to be doing it for a Super Rugby team. You're going to get paid a lot less at a Super Rugby team to be marketing manager than you are at Air New Zealand or whatever. So look, it's people learning on the job, I think. On that
Are you telling me Super Rugby franchises are happily bashing their head against the wall, doing the same thing that didn't work and not learning from it? Surely not.
No comment, Your Honour. I plead the fifth. Anyway, so the teams we're going to look at tonight, the final 2 teams we haven't looked at so far in Super Rugby is Moana Pacifica and the Fijian Andrua. So let's kick off then with Moana Pacifica. Oh, actually, on the news front, Moana Pacifica are doing something good. I was unimpressed by this idea. They are actually doing media days jointly with Auckland FC. This is a great idea. Basically, you'll have the Auckland FC stand up, then you'll watch a bit of their training. The Moana Pacifica stand up, watch a bit of training. Look, that way the reporter comes down and gets 2 lots of information for articles, rather than having to travel twice to somewhere similar to get information. So as a way of trying to get the media down and try to actually create a bit of buzz and try a bit of noise, I thought that was a clever way of doing it on the free. So actually some joined up thinking. So well done, Moana Pacifica. Let's see if you've done some joined up thinking with your hiring as well of players or not. So on the way out, a bunch of props. Skopi Kepu has retired. Donald Bridgehouse, Felipe and Langui have also stepped down. Solomoni Funakai the back row has headed over to the Dragons in Wales. Iri Inari has headed down to the Hurricanes for his 3rd or 4th Super Rugby franchise. him and Triple T seem to be doing the rounds, don't they, of all the Super Rugby franchises in New Zealand. Delangelo Luia, unfortunately, hasn't cracked it. Look, he's 27 now, headed across over to Utah for Major League Rugby. Someone that was really good for the for Waikato about 3 years ago, and unfortunately hasn't quite cracked it at Super Rugby level. But it was actually has got a lot of skill. Otumaka Messiah, also a fly half, has left. Henry Tafia has headed over to the Red Hurricanes in Japan, and out on the wing, Tuavaku Kui has headed over to France as well. So 10 on the way out. That one. They did have another 9 players leave during the season as well, but I think there were mainly players who came in as injury replacements and then and dropped out as well again, because they're all heading back to the NPC. So they're all brought in for, I say, just for short-term contracts. On the way in, though, obviously, if you've lost 4 props, you need to bring a bunch in. So Apua from Northland, Famasili from the Waratahs, and Tupolotu from Auckland. In the locks, no changes. In the back row, Sione Havili from, well, it says from Tasman, but let's be honest, he's from the Crusaders. And also Artie Surveyor, it says Kobe Steelers, but let's be honest, Hurricanes. Fly half, we've got Jackson Garden Bashop heading up from Wellington. Pat Pellegrin from Coventry in the UK. So Coventry, by the way, is not Premiership. That is a Championship team, so second tier in the UK. And Willie Havili. Look, Willie Havili was already there. I don't know why that one here. He's on the incoming list. Solomano Alamalo has come in, and Filippo in the centres as well. And Tuitama from the Samoan Sevens on the wing. So he might be a bit rapid. I mean, who's heard of a Sevens player who might be a bit quick? So keep an eye out for him on that one. Stephen, Mr. Harris, what do you think of those? Look at a number of players from the kind of NPC, plus some guys like Havili, Surveyor, with Garden Bashop with Super Rugby experience. Do you like that mix?
What I do like about, you could be critical of the of Moana Pacific in the past, that they just didn't have the depth. A lot of the games that we watched in the last couple of seasons or so, you know, they'd be very good in one game, but they couldn't roll out that same team in another game. I look through the squad and I see a lot of experience. Gee, I'll tell you what, they're looking pretty good in the front row. You know, Chris Apua obviously played down in Southland. Northland had an outstanding season for Northland last year. Is a very, very good tight head prop. We know James Lay, who's been part of the Blues, and Auckland is another good tight head prop. But you also got that little diamond there and well, and Sione Mafilio. He doesn't get bettered at scrum time by many. And you know, there's a couple of players that have actually been rewarded for good NPCs as well. Tito Tuipolotu, who actually played down in Southland last year. Yeah, Paul, you might have got confused with. No, begging your pardon, you're right. He did play for Auckland. It was Hamden that played down in Southland. So I take that back, mate. Looks like you did your homework this week, and not me. And they're solid in the locks again. I see they've got Tom Savage back this year, and Alan Craig. They're a sort of a big part of their team. But if you remember last year, those two took on most of the workload because they had a lot of injuries, and they look pretty solid at loose forward. Man, I'm excited about what they could put out in that back row. You know, you could possibly play Artie at 7. You could also play Inesi at 8, but I also love the look of Miracle Whailangi as well, the Samoan international number 6. So there's a really good balance, and they've got some really good options at first 5 as well, with Pellegrini, the Tongan international, at first 5. But across the board, pretty good. Good to see Solomon Alemalo come back from his stint in rugby league as well, and another player that's been rewarded for a good NPC, Lossi Filippo, as well, who had a very good stint with Wellington. No, I quite like the look of their squad. Let's not forget William Havili, as well. Boy, he's one of the more improved players on this particular circuit. I suppose just looking through the squad, maybe a couple of areas, maybe second five and centre, but pretty handy to have a guy by the name of with the name Savia there as well. He'll be pretty handy. He was pretty good for Wellington at second five last year as well. So I reckon they'll take a bit of inspiration from a lot of their more senior players, and I think there'll be a real follow the leader type of play from this Moana Pacifica team. No, I like the look of the squad. I think this is the strongest squad that they have assembled in this competition.
Oh, absolutely. When you look at this, there are 6 internationals in the loose forwards, which is just a bit crazy. 5 internationals in the back threes, 3 internationals in the centres. Okay, Julian Surveyor is not a current international, but the areas where they perhaps do lack a bit of experience is, I think, is perhaps lock, with just Michael Curry and Sam Slade being the 2 guys with international experience in there. That might be the engine room, might be the problem. And again, I know you were very happy with the props, but again, with only 2 of them have got some international experience. So again, maybe it is scrum time where they'll be tested a little bit, and whether they get that platform. But am I being unduly pessimistic or cautious there, Cornflake, or do you think these guys are going to get a platform to play off?
No, I agree with what Stephen said. I think they've got a really good base of a squad. I think that front row will be probably underrated. To bring in Pone Famasili, look, that guy is an absolute wrecking ball. I'm excited to see him with a bit more freedom and probably a bit more joy in his game, and not those same pressures. He's going to be there, and I think he's going to be a bit more of himself and a bit more of a personality. I think he's going to really stand out for this team. So I think, front row wise, they got a couple of guys who really are going to be key for them, but the depth is definitely more than they've had in the past. But look, if I look at this team, Lotu Anisi is a one man for me. Like the last year, especially, seeing him thundering around a park stood out for me as just the guy, and you're adding more to what he has. So you're allowing him to play his game without having to worry about covering maybe lacks of other areas where they're not quite as strong. So I think their back row could possibly be absolutely devastating. With Anisi, with Havili, with Savia. Those 3 guys alone, if you're coming up against the back row of those 3 guys starting, you should be, I think, relatively concerned about how your game might go. And especially with those 10s, I'm excited to see more of Havili. I think Pellegrini is a guy who's underrated. I think this could be a big opportunity for him to step up to their next level and have a really good year at Super Rugby and certainly push his career forward. So I think there's a really good base of the team. I think they've got a lot of guys that they can bring up through. Is the talent there? Are they going to step up to the mark? That's what we're going to see with a lot of these teams. But look, Solomon Ayamalo, what a player he could have been. I really hope he has a good year, because when he first broke out, remember how amazing he was at the Chiefs, how exciting he was, powerful, explosive, fast. He had all the skills, and it just hasn't translated on for his career. So he's a guy I've really been excited for. Every year I see his name on a team sheet, I think this could be his year to break out again and have another strong season. So he's one I'm going to be watching, see how he lines up in this team as well. But yeah, they've got plenty of ability, plenty of talent. Tomo Folau, again, another man in the outside backs, just super talented. So they're not short of talent, not short of skill. I think their starting team, that first layer of the squad, very, very good. I think on their day, even not on their day, they should step it with most teams. It's that second layer, and whether they can find those guys to step up. And look, sure, there's a lot of them there, so the opportunity is massive. And what a way to learn, having a guy in your forward pack to lead you like Savia. I think he could be a really critical part for a lot of these younger guys and experienced guys to follow as lead. So I think it should be an exciting year for them.
Look, Solomon Ayamalo, I was a massive fan of it when he was at the Chiefs. I was like, get him in the All Blacks, and And I thought the next season he would get there. Alton Wright says he's not recovered since a Caleb Clark tackle that busted his shoulder. Look, he also had some mental health issues down in when he was down in the Highlanders as well. Let's hope he's got those under control. I don't think you're ever over those sort of things, but hopefully he's in a good place now from that. So it's interesting that Wikipedia's got him listed as a centre, whereas for my mind he's always been a winger. But look, at 29, maybe a move into the centres is the right thing, where he's perhaps lost a bit of pace. Maybe him and Julian's can sort of share that 13 jersey there with in there. But so it'll be interesting to see how he goes. But it's he's one of those stories of potential that wasn't quite maximised, unfortunately, and it's just a shame that we didn't see that get maximised. Because for me, he was. I was clamouring for him to be in the All Blacks. At that time, I think it was like a World Cup year. It's like, no, not this year, but next year it's going to be the year for him, and it didn't quite happen, unfortunately. It's a shame that he didn't quite make it. Look, the coaching setup is also quite. I'm also impressed with that. You've got some obviously Tana Amanga is head coach. You've then got Coventry in there with him. Stephen Jones, who remember he was down with the Crusaders under Razor. And is here. Pula'asi Manu as the scrum coach, Orlando Sokai as a defense coach, and Seliali Mapusa as the skills coach in there as well. So look, it's good to see that they've got a Tongan and a Samoan guy in there as well. Look, so not only is it about developing players for Tongan and Samoa, but also developing coaches as well. So having those guys coming through. With, Tana Manga, Tom Coventry, Stephen Jones, all with that kind of experience, I think it's good. I must admit, the other names I don't recognise so as much. And someone will come back to me and say, "Hey, look, he's been a scrum coach for like 50 years. Paul, you should know your shit." But for me, I think having those three coaches who are, I think that's a good to give the other guys that experience. I think is a good learning thing from them as well on that one.
Shocking, Paul. Puliasi Manu, Orlando Solokai, and Selele Mapusua. Look, I think, in my opinion, especially Puliasi Manu and Mapusua, they're legends of Pacific Island rugby. Selele Mapusua is.
Puliasi Manu is 37. He's 37. That's young for a coach, right?
Yeah, but
so he's developing through as a coach.
He's got the Pacific Island culture. He's bringing experience and he's bringing the culture he's got. I reckon they're great coach signings. Mapusua is a cracker, skills coach. Do you remember as a player? He was a phenomenal player. Skills is perfect for him, absolutely perfect for him. And Puliasi Manu, you'll remember him as an actual player.
But he's 37. These guys are developing as coaches, and they're not the experienced coaches
Perfect
in
place.
the way that. So I think it's good for it's good to see them developing those coaches as well as developing players. I'm going to back myself. I'm going to die on this hill.
I like it. Mapusua, and what a man. Targo days, Nocturnal. Yeah, I remember those days. Good times.
In that one. Look, it looks positive. Do I see them making it into the playoffs? Not so. And look, last season, how did it finish for them again? Look, just 4 wins and 10 losses. Now, that doesn't look good, finishing second last. But look, they got as many wins last season as they had in all the other seasons put together. So they are heading in the right direction. It's just taking time to do that, and that's fine. These can take time. I mean, if you told people, look, the Moana got as many wins as the Force last year, that I think would shock people because obviously the Force, not the Force, right? I'm FPG and Drew. They got 6. I've got my head all over the place. Ignore me. Cut. Rewind. Delete. Start again. But yeah, look, 4 wins, more than last 2 seasons. I think that's they're heading in the right direction. On to the Enduro then.
I was going to say, Paul, just before we do move on, one thing you can't really afford to do, which a lot of teams have done in the past, they've put a second string side out against Moana Pacifica, and I don't know if some of those teams can really afford to do that, because if you take that lightly, you kind of both mentioned before that maybe they have 23. I'm picking they're probably closer to 27 or 28 good players, and some guys that we just don't know about, if you know it, or don't know enough about. But boy, if any of those guys step up with the guys that they've already got there, they could be a very dangerous side. There's a couple of players that I'm really keen to see how they go this year, and that's Kyron Taimoi-Falau, who we know is an absolute talent and is as rapid as they come. And the other one is Miracle Falangi as well. I've heard so much about him. I know Northland tried to sign him a year ago or so, but I think he may have stayed down in Tasman, but didn't see too much game time because he was with the Pacific Cup at the time. So I don't think you can afford to take these guys too lightly. I suppose the other dynamic that was brought up before by one of the watchers was the fact that they're going to be playing a lot of their games over at North Harbour Stadium. Is that correct? So I'm just wondering how that dynamic's going to work.
Yeah, so North Harbour Stadium is now their home. They tried to make it last year. I think there was some pitch issues. Now, look, a stadium that's been deliberately changed from being a rugby stadium to a baseball stadium, and then had the baseball team basically disappear, is not the best stadium in the world for them. Let's be blunt. It's not also North Harbour with the big South African population on the shore there. Again, isn't what you'd expect to be the place for them to be. South Auckland with the big Pacifica population is much more where you'd expect them to be. So it doesn't feel right in that sense. But look, they have now got probably the most marketable player in New Zealand in Ardie Surveyor. I think it's the most marketable player. Look, he's a player who likes to get out there and talk and give an opinion. Sure, it's his opinion. He doesn't like being told how to talk, and that's fine. I think if they give him the sort of the reins to certain bits on social media, they should be able to get they should get a better following and be able to get their name, the word out there. So you'd hope they use him well, not just on the pitch, but also in the marketing side of things as well. To try and drill up a sort of a crowd, because let's be honest, the biggest failure of this team so far has been its inability to get people through the gate. The whole idea was, hey, look at the Tongan rugby league team. They pack out I've gone blank as what the stadium is in South Auckland. And neither of you saving me. Jesus Christ.
No idea. It's Auckland.
Mount Smart Stadium. And the idea was that, hey, look, because Tonga rugby league team can do it, therefore Moana Pacifica will. And that didn't happen. So look, I think that to me has been the biggest disappointment for Moana Pacifica, has actually been getting that community out there, and hopefully that'll improve this year with that. Now, one of the people who's been part of their marketing, she's gone back to accountancy, has decided to not follow through this. So there's a bit of a change behind the scenes in the management structure, as well as this year, as well as on there. So yes, we'll see how that goes. But I say, getting to me, that's been the biggest disappointment for me for this team. Not so much the results, but as in the following from that point of view. Oh, sorry, Mount Smart Stadium is now called Go Media Stadium. Yes, it's been sponsored. It's always Mount Smart Stadium. It's like, look, Twickenham is not the Allianz, right? It is Twickenham. Allianz bloody stadium. What a
Let it go.
Bollocks. No, I won't. It's another hill. I'm dying on multiple hills. So
the one-win record.
The Enduro then. This is one of, if not the most stable squad out there, which I think, which is not something that we would normally associate with a team that isn't the Crusaders. Essentially, let's be honest. Koryo Duadua. I am very sorry. My pronunciations are going to be. Perhaps I should get Cornflake. Do you want to step in and help me with these?
Not the first one.
Okay.
Kurai Duadua in. Moses Saravi in. Apuslomi Volta in. Naitokani Lalaga are the players. They're all out. Sorry, I'm reading the wrong side. They're all the players out Coming in, Penny Ravai.
So hang on, so just briefly there, you're looking at a prop,
Yep.
a scrum half, and 3 centres going out. And let's be honest, if you're losing 3 centres, losing backs for a Fijian team, not a problem to replace them, I would say. But anyway, who's coming in?
Coming in the props, Penny Ravai from the Reds. You've got Josiva Tamani in the back row coming in from France. Ania Tabuvai coming in from Racing in the midfield. You've got Panopati Longanmasi, the winger from the Sevens. And you've got Varati Kara Walivu on the wing coming in from the Waratahs as well. That's my hashed up version of it.
Well done.
A nice reminder there that apparently the C letter is often an F sound in Fijian. Okay, thank you for that one. Not so right. That's in. It'll help me a little bit.
There's no C's in any of those names.
Yes, I was just looking at that, thinking actually that's not the help at all, is it? These ones. Look, what I do like here actually is the quality of players that have been brought in. Right, all of them. You got one from the Reds, 2 coming over from France, one from the Waratahs, so and one from the Sevens. So 4 of those players have got Super Rugby or top level rugby in France experience. So they're bringing in more experience into here now. And then in their academy, they're bringing in some players from Northland, the Chiefs, Queen Victoria School in Fiji. So they're using their academy to bring in their younger players and then bring them through. And they're bringing in experience into the top team. Because let's be honest, at home, very dangerous, but they still need that traveling experience. So the quality of players that they've brought in, I really like in this one. Again, in the prop at 37, 34, he's still got a few years in him. A back row at 27, 21 for your centres, wingers at 26 and 23. I mean, 26 getting on a bit as far as wingers concerned, but all the other age ranges again not bad from that point of view either. So to me, I like the balance. I like the increased experience they're bringing in. It's not like they're. I guess one of the things that we were scared that was not scared about. One of the things that was a concern for this team was it would be a shop window for the big teams in France, for the big teams in Japan, just to come and just poach players as they could see who were good. Clearly, that's not happening, and that's a good sign as far as I'm concerned.
It's exciting. It's exciting. I'll go for it. No, I'll tail on. I like tailing on.
Yeah, it's quite interesting. They have a couple of world class halves, don't they? And Lamani and also Mutz. I think Mutz is probably one of the most improved first fives running around in the competition. I thought he was quite outstanding in that autumn tour that Fiji took on, and they possibly got the best centre in world rugby as well, in Sefo Masi. As well, was he close to the top try scorer last year in Super Rugby, or there or thereabouts? Yeah, they're pretty settled, aren't they? At the end of the day, and we just know that they're going to bloody be hard to beat at home as well. All they've got to learn to do is win on the road.
Look, if I'm going to pick something, Paul's got stats.
I'm looking at stats, and unfortunately, no, they did not. None of the Fijian and Drua featured in the top try scorers, unfortunately.
Unfortunate. Look,
you had to get at least
what I like about this in this transfer, like you may poo-hoo, but Penny Ravai for me is a really good pickup for this team because I like his experience. I like what he's been doing for this Reds team. Yeah, he's a bit older, he's a bit long in the tooth, as they may say, but I think he's going to bring some good attributes to this Drua team. So that I think is a good signing. The rest of them, build some depth. But look, I agree. Stephen Harris stole my points. I let him go first, and he stole all my key points. But look, no, the halves, the nines, Kuravoli, Lamani, Matawalu. You've got 3 potential starting number 9s right there. Caleb Muntz, I agree. He's the guy. I'm putting all my focus on him. He needs to continue on that end of year tour and push on. So he's the one I'm going to look out for. But look, Armstrong Ravula is a very good, talented young player. So again, sure, you got a really good starter, and then Howard, you got this guy that's going to come in as well. He's going to be very, very good. It's Fiji. Do we need to talk about the backs? Ravu Taumata, you've got Drossesi, you've got Masti. Look, they're stacked. These guys are fast, they're big, they offload. It's just Fijian rugby. It's what they do. Look, the halves are going to be key for me because Fijian rugby traditionally always struggles to have someone to control their game in that link between the forwards and the backs. They have really star-studded backs who just superstar themselves throughout the game. And then they try and get their forwards to step up, which yes, they are. And they've got some good players in there now. But it's linking that forward work and letting their backs play with some go-forward ball and some good set piece. So if they can link those guys up, look, I think they're going to be even harder to beat this season. So look, I'm really excited about what they can bring. And I'm really excited about these players developing because there's some superstar talented Fijians in here that are just going to get better and better and better as the years go on. And like the locks, Nasila as well. Like, I think he's going to be just stepping on toes all season. So many names that is going to stand out. Depth. We saw last season they got depth. They can rotate. They can bring players in and out, and they still perform, especially at home. And they're going to do the same this year. So, yeah, you're not going to beat them at home, but I think they're going to be more dangerous on the road if they can keep building and keep the continuity.
So, yes, corrections corner for last week, so folks. Very sorry. I'm pretty sure that I said the one game that they lost, they played in Samoa, which was a home game lost, which it's dumb. Of course, they didn't play a game in bloody Samoa. That's my own my one. They did play one at a different venue in Fiji, and they played it at night, not during the daytime. So sorry about that, folks. Stupid comment from me last week, and I want to apologise for that, and fix it this week on that one. Yeah, the one game they did lose at home, which was the Hurricanes, was not at their normal location. It was a different location in Fiji. The only question I've got, sorry,
they won a game in the pouring rain as well. Like you say, the Fijians love the sunny weather. They played in the monsoon and still won.
Oh, they like the heat. It's about the heat. It's not about the sun. So as long as it's hot, who cares if it's wet or dry? The one big change though is in coaching. The Mick Bry has moved on. He is now the Fiji international head coach. So look, he is going to be involved. All right, with 31 Fijian internationals in his team, he's clearly going to be keeping an eye on the team. And the person stepping up, Glenn Jackson, was assistant head coach here last year, and so there is continuity there. And I mean, Glenn Jackson's been involved with Fiji since 2020, when he was the assistant coach with Vern Cotter to the Fijian international level. So it's not like you're bringing in someone who doesn't know the culture, right? He's been there, he knows the culture. This is continuity here. Looking through some of the other coaches, there also Chris Gibbs in there as well. So clearly they're wanting to. One of the points that I remember interviewing Mick Bry after their game against Moana Pacifica, and he said, "Look, when you've got guys who basically haven't been doing line out driving mauls for all the way through, it takes time to teach them those sort of skills, and it's not about creating a necessarily putting them in a straight jacket and saying, but it's about giving them those skills as well, so they have them as well as their other skills. For a person who came in as being this skills coach, and we thought was going to, oh dearie me, how's that fit going to work? He has been fantastic for this team and for Fijian rugby, and it's good to see him getting that opportunity at the international level now, and also them growing their other coaches through here. Glenn Jackson, sure, he may be a Kiwi, but he's committed. Look, this is his 5th year in Fiji, working with Fijian teams. This isn't guys who are just going there and going, okay, I can use this as a stepping stone to another team. These are guys who are committing to this team for a long term, and that's great to see. Again, it's not a shop window for the coaches either. Some people might have thought, you know what, hey, maybe this is how Mick Bry proves he's a head coach and aims for the All Blacks head coach role. But no, these guys haven't used it as a shop window. They really have bought into the team, which I think has been wonderful to see. If we've got nothing else on Fiji, we do have one sad thing to talk about, or disappointing thing to talk about, is that on the Samoan side, that their head coach, Mahoney Swalanga, has resigned after criminal charges were brought against him about unlawful sexual connection attempted sexual violation, sexual conduct with a person under 16, indecent assault, and common assault. Now, look, he has been charged. He has not been found guilty at this point, I would say. But clearly, so he's moved on. So look, Samoa Rugby, with that kind of thing going on, with they didn't manage to tour last November because of lack of money. Things not all right with Samoan Rugby at the moment, unfortunately. Let's hope that this is a low point that they can then move up and onwards with from that. So we'll see. So whilst some, and this is one of the things that was actually brought up as part of the when we talk about the Nations Cup, where the top 12 teams in the world were supposed to play each other in an annual competition, and that we're bringing in after the next Rugby World Cup, I think is coming in. One of the worries there was that, look, Fiji was going to get that opportunity, which is fantastic for Fiji, but what about Samoa? What about Tonga getting left behind? And that's so let's just hope that doesn't happen. Look, the Fijian Andrua is very much a Fijian team that's been done working with the Fijian Rugby Union, whereas Moana Pacifica is not is a New Zealand-based team by an association in Auckland. It is not and therefore the ties with the Samoan Rugby Union, with the Tongan Rugby Union, are smaller. They're not the same. So let's hope those two countries don't get left behind because of this on the way there.
I was going to say, Paul, though, with that Fijian and Andrua side being a shadow Fijian team, boy, look at all the extra hard rugby that these guys are going to get during the year, and you just kind of wonder where this benefit's going to come to fruition for Fijian rugby moving forward in the future. It's pretty scary, and it's scary to think that they've actually still got some very good players playing overseas. Imagine if, we spoke about Mussy before. Man, imagine him and Ravovo as a midfielder. Where's Ravovo's playing over in Britain, France, somewhere at the moment, maybe Bristol, maybe at the moment. And I can think back a couple of years ago where he was probably the outstanding outside back, and some of these guys just seem to get better and better.
Ravovo or Ravandra?
No, Ravovo.
Okay,
Ravovo was playing. Ravovo was the standout midfielder for Andrua in the very first season, and based on his performance, he ended up picking up a contract up in the Northern Hemisphere. He was very good. I suppose that is their probably concern for the Andrua team. Anybody who stands out will get picked up a contract. But on saying that, they'd be available for Fiji. Even somebody like Portea, who's playing up in France as well. God, amazing loose forward. So man, they are just starting to. We talk about South Africa with their amazing depth. Fiji are slowly but surely building this really nice depth. They got some good hosting games this season as well. They're hosting the Chiefs, the Crusaders, and the Blues at home, and the Brumbies, the Waratahs, and the Reds. So those are traditionally, if they were on the road, all tough games. But if you imagine if they won all those games, then it's not out of the realms of possibility. If they winning those games, it means when they travel on the road against teams like Waratahs, the Force, they could target one or two of those games as winnable games, and they could find themselves in a top 4 place. Listen, I see them as a bit of a smoky to make a semi-final. I really do.
Wow, that's a big call, and to do that, they have to get that home quarterfinal, right? To do that, really, they don't. They're going to want to do. They're only playing away in that quarterfinal game for that. So HFC Bank Stadium in Suva was where they played the Hurricanes. I'm pretty sure it's different to the other games. Moana Pacifica, they played at, that's right, Churchill Park in Lautoka was where they played most of their games so that's where they want to be playing their games, not in it's back to a top 6 playoff system. So actually they would need to be top 3 to get that home semi-final, home quarterfinal, or whatever you call it. I mean, yeah, let's make it a complicated playoff system, Super Rugby.
Yeah. Paul, Paul, just a quick thing. They had 6 wins last year. They finished with 26 points, but there were 12 teams in the competition.
Yeah.
Last year. So, for my way of thinking, they'll probably need 7 or 8 wins plus bonus points to make the top 8 again, or else probably maybe a similar number of points. But you are dead right. If they are to make the quarterfinals, they'll probably have to finish. If they are to get a home quarterfinal, they'll probably have to finish in that 4th place, I would imagine.
Well, no, it's a 16 playoff now.
Is it?
Yeah,
Okay.
so they're messing it up. So you need to be top 3 to get a home one. Now, last year the Brumbies had 52 points for that. I think with 12 wins and 2 losses, that I think is out of reach for this team. Is it out of reach for this team to make top 6? No, but is it out of reach to make top 3? I think so. There was a big gap between the Brumbies in 3rd and the Chiefs in 4th of 9 points. There was a big gap between those two. So yeah, I think that top 3 is going to be really tough for the team this year.
If I had to ask this question, if you looked at all the places that you want to travel to, we talk about Canberra being a tough place to go to, Eden Park is a tough place to go to. Would you put Fiji as a tough place to go to as well?
Toughest.
Top of the list.
I'm sorry, I don't have Eden Park. So Eden Park's a tough place because you've got a tough team, right? It's not a tough place to go play. Canberra in the middle of winter. Yeah, I mean, you've got your 2 extremes, haven't you? You're either playing at -4 in Canberra or you're playing at 35 degrees in Fiji. I mean, that's what makes those 2 the hardest places to go to.
Yeah, you're
the
playing
next hardest in some ways is actually the Western Force, just because of the travel distance. In some ways, otherwise, it's about the strength of the team. To me, more than the actual one. I mean, sure, you can say, look, if you get a hoolie down in Wellington, then the home kicker can make his kicks, and the opposite and the non-home kicker hasn't got a hope in hell. So there is a bit of home advantage there, but yeah, no, I think you got to say that your Friday night game at -4 in Canberra, or your Saturday afternoon game at 35 degrees in Fiji. Sorry, those are your home advantages.
Exactly, 35 degrees and in front of a packed house. And they're going to probably have a packed house every time they have a home game.
Oh yeah.
I would suggest where you go to Canberra, it can be cold, but usually the crowds that rock up to Canberra are pretty sparse. In the greater scene, they tend to pick up if they kind of make home quarterfinals, home semi-finals, etc. But I reckon the biggest challenge for any team is actually going to be going to Fiji.
Yeah, that's right.
Finish off with Fiji. Speaking of the Fiji drill side, and just tagging back to what you're saying about leaving the other Pacific nations behind, I think they've done this already. Like Stephen was talking about the names, Revolvos and the likes. I've just been looking at the Fijian internationals, and you look at what they've got with the Drua now, and you've got other names like Wakani Koro, you've got Tui Sova, you've got Karo Alivu at the Waratahs, you've got Tavau at Racing, you've got Radradra at Lyon, you've got Nasalivu at Sale, you've got Batito at Cast, and then you add in the guys at the Drua who are getting this top level Super Rugby experience as well. Fiji for me is bolted. Sorry, Samoa and Tonga, there's daylight now.
I agree. And if you somebody like Timosi Tawatawanawai, while he harbours ambitions to be an All Black, man, what an acquisition would he be in a Fijian team? The guy's just a wrecking machine. Whether he's got ball in hand, whether he's tackling, or whether he's operating like a loose forward, getting turnovers. I just think somebody needs to have a chat to him and basically look at that holistic picture. What would you rather do? Get an All Black jersey, play 3 or 4 tests, or go and play for Fiji and just become a world superstar on the back of a team that just plays exciting rugby.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, let's be honest, All Blacks jerseys are worth a lot of money, and it sets you up for life. So I can understand why he's going for it, and we'll just have to see. Look, I mean, his move from Moana to the Highlanders wasn't smooth. It wasn't great last year. So let's see how it goes after that. And in fact, yeah, the two superstars who left Moana last year in Levi Moore and Thomas Awanawai both didn't manage to reach the same heights again, which again shows you systems matter. Being in an environment where people trust you and where you like to be matters. It's not just about the player. It is also about the system and the place they're in.
You could count on one hand how many times Aomua touched the ball in those first 6 or so Crusaders games. It was probably about 3 times. Half the games he never touched the ball once. Yeah, 100%. If you're not in the plan to get the ball, you could be the most phenomenal player in the world. If you don't get the ball, you ain't doing anything with it, are you?
Yep. It's not basketball where basically you can get hold of it and just say, it's mine. I'm playing with it now.
Last
Anyway,
try wins, my ball.
Also, I said Thomas Awanawai had a good Highlanders campaign. Just took a few weeks. It's now he's used to the environment and stuff, and they've got Jamie Joseph in charge. I'm expecting a much better campaign from him this year, though. I just think, I'm really excited about the footballing brain he's got added to the added to his physical attributes. Remember, they did finish 6th, the Crusaders. Well, look, it's all right. Look, I'll be honest. I really appreciate it, and I think you should be doing this as much as possible. If you, as a Highlanders fan, and the fact that you finished above the Crusaders, Crow, really make the most of it now. Make hay while the sun shines, because you know what, it might not last very long. So just definitely, keep crowing about it. Absolutely, on that one. So, folks, thank you very much for joining us this evening. We'll be back next Monday. So we're a month out now from Super Rugby, but also we're not that far out from the Six Nations. The Warren Gatland, I believe, has because the Six Nations kicks off on the 1st of February. So the Six Nations kicks off before Super Rugby kicks off. As the world, I mean, this is this global warming or something? Or climate change? I thought Six Nations. I'm pretty sure Super Rugby used to start before Six Nations. So on that note, we've only got so next 2 more weeks of shows before we hit the Six Nations. So I think maybe we'll look forward. Maybe next week we'll have a look at some of the Six Nations stuff as to what's going on, and try and get ourselves up to speed on that. I know that Cornflake is well more up to speed than I am on that one, but I know Warren Gatland is naming his squad this week. I listen to a Welsh Rugby podcast. As an English fan, I actually know more about Welsh Rugby than English Rugby nowadays. It's nuts. It's crazy. But there you go. So with that going on, we'll have a look at the Six Nations, I think, next week or the week after, because I say that comes before Super Rugby. Sort of closing out. Stay safe, folks. Have a good week. Catch you all next Monday.